Loving you.
It's easy cause you're beautiful.
Do-do-do-do-do.
Ah. We are butchering and hopefully we don't get cancelled or our video doesn't get censored or
Ah,
banned.
shit. You know what? We take it as a compliment if it does.
If it does, if the
just
algorithm
so good.
actually
So good.
it was so on tune, on pitch.
It was so bad. Happy Valentine's Day!
Hey guys, happy Valentine's Day.
Love is in the air.
Is it?
Is it? I mean, yeah, I'd hope so. I'd hope so.
I think so too. I think I just had this conversation yesterday with actually it's my partner's friend, and we were talking about like life and relationship and contentment, right? So then because we haven't met this friend for some time, and she was like, how are you guys really doing? And then Hisham and I, we were like, we're doing actually really good. Like, yes, we could have more money, right? And to travel more and to like eat more good stuff or go to like a Michelin star restaurant and all of that. But in general, like life is good. Like very blessed, very content, and I think like love between like my partner and I, but also like with my family, it has been great. So yeah.
But what do you think like helped, I guess, build that, right? And this is an interesting thing because like you talk about contentment, and I think recently as well, people always talk about, you know, oh, this other couple is doing this, and you always see that in Instagram as well. It's like a very Instagram couple thing.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone shares like, oh, this is what my boyfriend did. This is what
Yeah.
my girlfriend did.
Yeah.
Da-da-da-da-da. Like, how do you still push for contentment and satisfaction without trying to like compare yourself, right?
So I think number one, I personally like I don't do social media a lot,
Okay,
right?
fair
So I don't I am on there to see what's up with my friends, but I am not addicted or like I don't post because I feel like I need to post. So I think that already helps to reduce the feeling of like comparison and
That's fair.
jealousy.
That's fair.
I think initially last time, maybe when I was younger a little bit more, I'll be a little bit more jealous, but now not so. So I think that already like negates like one big part of it. Yeah. And I think number two is, I guess, I don't know, I'm old. I feel like I'm old, so I don't like really care about other people's thoughts or judgment as much, and it's more to like checking inward between me and my own feelings, right? So even if jealousy comes up, I mean obviously you'll compare like oh how cute, like he bought some flowers for her, why don't you buy flowers for me? But I think if I look inward, like that flower or that gesture doesn't mean much to me because those kind of gestures are given to me in some other ways, right? So yeah. What about you?
I perpetuate the comparison thing with my friend a lot. I do it out of sheer friendship.
Okay.
And it's kind of cute, honestly. I think it's kind of cute.
Okay.
You would never think of this, like imagine like men talking to other men. It's like, bro, check this out. Look at these flowers. Damn good, damn nice way.
Oh, but that's cute.
Bro, that's kind of cute, bro.
That's cute. You kind of like one up each other, but in a good way.
No, it's not. No, we didn't like share. We share links to each other on like what you can buy for each other's partners.
Okay, that's cute. You're supporting your bros in.
I'm like,
in
bro, check
being
this place out.
sweet.
There's such a nice view of this place, and it's not even that expensive. It's just like really nice. Hey, cool. Send me a link.
Oh, that's cute. So you do this like with some of your guy friends,
like some of my guy friends who are like down for it. I did. Okay, there are some friends who are like, bro, that's kind of gay.
I feel like a lot will take jab at you first,
100%.
but the ones that are like being cute or like are more open, I think, and I guess like more relational to you, would be able to be like, yo, bro, thanks, bro. Like, can you give me more ideas?
Like, bro, that's so sweet, bro. Thanks, bro.
That's cute. That's cute. So, what are you doing for Valentine's Day?
Ooh. Um. So my partner and well, but by the time this comes out, I think it'll be like after Valentine's
Yeah.
Day.
So you can spill the tea a little bit.
Wow. So halal, non-halal. No, no. My partner and I just like gonna go like a couple of days like on the beach side just to hang out, just to vacay a little bit away from people, I guess. Hopefully away from people. There might be people there, most likely, because
I
it's
think so.
Valentine's.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I mean, she really likes the beach. I love the beach as well.
Mm.
I think we just wanted to go and chill.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I think my view on Valentine's as a whole.
Yeah, I just wanted to say like, so when you, now that you are actually putting aside like time and spending some money as well, so you do believe in like celebrating Valentine's.
Oh, I do. I think for me, like, and I know like different people have different views on this one. I think for me, like, I just believe in like ceremonies a little bit.
Okay,
I don't
tell
put
me
like
more.
too much emphasis on all of them, lah. Right. But when it comes to like Valentine's, when it comes to anniversaries, I believe, at least for me, it's about celebrating the relationship. So it's not so much on like, oh, I have to do this like big gestures of things or stuff like that. I think to me, it's a good like checkpoint or a good reminder to like, hey, let's reflect on the relationship a little bit also, but also like let's celebrate like how far we've come. Right?
Like a milestone.
Like a milestone, yeah. And that's the whole point of an anniversary, right?
Yeah.
I think the whole point of an anniversary is like, hey, like another year where we were able to go through life together, right? It's not like it's not so much about the gestures, I think, which is the gestures are nice, but like I think there's a lot more emphasis. There should be a lot more emphasis on just celebrating the relationship, right? And it's like a beautiful thing. So I think to me, and this is something I talked to my partner a bit as well, right? Is that I think like for anniversaries, for Valentine's, it should be like a like a joint kind of thing that we just make it a planned thing where we just like go out. And like go on a trip somewhere. It could be a day trip. It could be a couple of days if it's touching the weekends.
Yeah.
Maybe like knowing that anniversary, for example, is coming up, then we would like plan for it near the start of the year where we like plan to get like plane tickets that would then we go to like I don't know some place lah, right? And we just go on a holiday.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I feel like that makes a lot more sense. It builds a lot more connection. I think it forces a lot more time for like reflection as well. And yeah, like I think during these kind of times as well, it's a good place to again like talk about the relationship as well.
Yeah.
Right? I think it'll be really good.
Do you actually like because talking about like the relationship during these milestones, it makes sense. Like logically, it makes sense. But I think in practice, a lot
It's
of
not
people
always, yeah.
don't do that, right? Because a lot of times it's the rah-rah. It's like do the grand gestures and all of that. And like you said, the gestures, it's maybe it's a display or a proof of that milestone. But what is more meaningful is actually celebrating or putting attention to that milestones and the journey that you guys have been. So then if let's say some people who haven't done a lot of like this serious talk during milestones, like can you share how you have done it, or like how do you plan to broach those kind of topic? Because it's a lovey-dovey celebratory time, right? And then suddenly you want to get like serious deep talk. It'd be
of course.
It wouldn't be awkward, but maybe like for the girls it would be like, hey, it's supposed to be cutesy, take photo, and suddenly you want to talk about the deep stuff. Like how would you go about it?
I mean, you be smart about it lah. You don't like cutesy. Then it's like, by the way, relationship, deep question. You play the timing. It doesn't have to be on day. Like I think it's like a time where you yourself think about it, and like you also kind of want to start thinking about what's important to you in a relationship, and eventually we want to have that conversation. I think it doesn't have to be on a day. Like it depends on different relationships are different, right? If your relationship is very like I guess structured that way, and you plan to have the conversation during these times, I guess it's okay.
Yeah,
it's fine. It's up to you, right? But yeah, like maybe like I still think the focus should be on celebrating the relationship, right? And then you can reflect, you can think about it also. Completely up to you. But I think it's always important to think about the relationship and reflect, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what are like some of the the stuff that you reflect on, like how do you go about things? Because some people, if you don't actually reflect a lot in your daily life, it's hard to like go through, right? Like, so is there a structure that you do or you
It's
use?
vibes.
Just
Just
vibes.
vibes.
Yeah.
I mean, at least for me, I think about like what's important to me in a relationship.
Mm,
Like being able to understand each other. Is like, is there something that I can do more of? Is there something I can do less of? And vice versa, right?
mm,
Just
mm.
simple stuff, right?
That's nice.
What are some things that I do that upset you that you haven't told me about, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And obviously, be very ready to kind of receive
See.
the answer to that,
Yeah.
and kind of work towards it.
Yeah.
Because once they tell you, I really believe once they tell you, there's going to be expectations to like kind of
Yeah.
changing
Yeah.
or kind of working on it, right?
Yeah. I also saw this video somewhere, can't remember. I don't know by who. So one of like a great question to ask your partner is like, how can I love you better?
Yeah,
Yeah. How can I show love better?
beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah. So that's a good way to
Yeah.
also broach the subject.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, though? Like, any plans for Valentine's? What do you think about it?
So I have a hot take. My hot take is Valentine's are overrated. Valentine's Day are overrated, and it's a capitalism.
Oh,
It's
100%.
like price hike. Restaurants are overbooked. Flowers are overpriced. Chocolates are, I mean, like companies are making specific things, right? Like specific cards, specific love shaped chocolates, and all of that, just for Valentine's. And I think that that kind of, I don't know, ironically, robs away the meaningfulness of things. Because like you said, right, Valentine's Day should be a commemoration of love, of the milestone.
Yep.
But I feel like all of this plus like social media, people boasting of like how they celebrated, and sometimes I feel like it's, and you need to do better every year, right? Like you need to one up
You need to
yourself
one-up yourself.
every year. I feel like that takes away a little bit the meaning of Valentine. So I think my partner and I, we are not like the rah-rah kind of people. So we believe in showing love gestures, and appreciating each other, and celebrating each other every day. So yes, we don't really have plans for Valentine's,
Fine,
but
yeah.
both of us agreed that to take time together, and we're gonna do like a home cooked meal
Yeah, that's
together.
fine. And that's celebrating a relationship.
Yeah,
really,
I think so. So no like big gestures and all of that. Obviously, I think I want chocolate because I just love chocolate. So, but no, like I don't need flowers. I don't need, like last year he got me flowers, which is so sweet. I love them for a day, and then after that, I just put them in a vase, and then it was on the table, and then after 1 week it wilted, right? And then and it stayed there for at least like another 5 6 days before I throw them out, because I'm just not used to having flowers, and it's
That's
not
fair.
my thing and all of that, right? So like the gesture is nice first day, the most meaningful, and after that I don't appreciate it as much, just because I'm not used to it. It's not something that I enjoy as much. So I told him that, you know what, like don't need to get me flowers this year. Like we take time to just spend time together, cook together, and enjoy each other's company better. Yeah.
No, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I think especially with flowers, I have a very very funny take on it. It's
Mm.
kind of morbid in a way as well, because if flowers were supposed to symbolize love,
Yeah.
but they die very quickly.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's why I also have this notion of like, okay, if you really truly want flowers, or like want to give me something, give
Yeah.
me a plant,
Mm.
like a plant that with flowers, like the orchid or something, where it's beautiful, and it can be part of like the house in the future.
Yeah.
But then obviously, I'm not my thumbs are not that green.
Oh.
So I told him maybe not plants just yet, but later on, like I would, I think there was also another video that I saw on Instagram/TikTok, where the husband was like, "I bought you something," and then she's like, "What?" And then he brought home like a big monstera, monstera
Ooh.
plant, and that was like the gesture of love because the wife
Yeah.
actually loved plants.
So
out
there's
of
like
nowhere.
just lunging.
Yeah,
like
correct. He
lugging
just
in
took
like a
it like a huge tall plant. So
That's cute,
that's also
that's cute.
sweet and nice, right? It's not just like flowers per se,
Oh,
but
yeah. Like
yeah.
whatever your partner wants, right? I guess. Like
Correct.
what's the one thing that is their version of love, right?
Yeah.
Their love language, if you will, or
Correct.
whatever, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. So talking about love language.
segue.
So then you believe in love. So this is Valentine's is celebratory. I don't believe in Valentine's per se, but we believe in like appreciating each other and all of that. And in terms of like appreciating each other and showing love,
Yeah.
there's this one theory or notion of like love language. So you wanna tell us more about love language?
I love talking about love languages.
Okay, tell
It's
us
a bit-
more.
I don't know. It's kind of cringy in a way, but I love that. I don't know. But nothing wrong with being cringy. I think like at this point, like I just be cringy. Right? I think it's nice. It's cute. I love being cute.
Mhm.
That's why I like going on dates and doing all this kind of stuff as well. But like, yeah, love languages it's a really interesting topic for me as well. I think more recently I've learned that, and I was talking to you about this, about how love languages are a give and a take, right?
Yes.
There is a give, there is a receive kind of a thing.
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong about this one, but we mentioned that the way that we were brought up, the way we perceive the world, the way we experience things when we were younger. So when it comes to perceiving and understanding love when we were younger, or how we have received love when we were younger, is then how we want to,
That's how we show love.
give and show love. Yeah, because that's what we learned.
Yeah.
And how we, what we missed. Yeah. What we were missing when we were a child is now what we want to receive as adults.
Yeah. I do not know whether that is a solidified or research upon validated theory of how love language is.
Yeah.
But it makes sense, right?
Oh, it makes sense.
Like so if you guys don't know, the love language is actually a theory by or a thesis brought up by Gary Chapman. He has books on this love languages, and typically there are 5 different love languages. So the first one is words of affirmation. So like encouraging messages, like really good stuff that you say to each other, right? Number 2 is quality time. So really time spent engaged in shared activities that are meaningful to each other. Number 3 is giving. So it's a token of like affection. Number 4 is acts of services. So help with the necessary tasks, with the daily activities that you guys do together. And lastly, physical touch. So from the most simplest of like hand holding and hugs, and that could be into also like sexual intimacy as well. It can be considered as physical touch. So those are like the 5 love languages. So what you said makes sense, because I see a lot within myself and within the people around me I observe is the way that you show love is how you learn, right? Like from your parents and whatnot. But things that are not given to you, or like the love languages that was not available to you, is the one that you crave the most. So for example, like myself, my how I show love, not just to my partner, but to friends and family, is acts of services and gift giving, because that's how my parents showed me that, right? Like that they have sacrificed their life. They don't say I love you or good job to me, but then they provided every single thing. Like I didn't have to lift a finger. You know, when I was younger, I didn't have to do my own laundry. I didn't have to cook because my mom is like, it's okay. Like you do what you have to do. Go study. I'll do everything for you. When I was in uni, I was living in hostel, but it was nearby. My parents every weekend came to send food to me and took my laundry back
Oh, wow.
and did my laundry and sent back. So that's how they showed love to me. But then the opposite of like what I want now from my partner and from my close friends is I would love physical touch and words of affirmation because I didn't have that. So I'm
Yeah.
very like touchy feely. Like I always want to hold hands. I always want to have a hug or a cuddle with my partner. And every time when somebody says like thank you, I really appreciate you, it just makes me like oh, because I didn't have that. So what you said makes sense. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Cry.
After this.
No, I think you actually brought up a very interesting point and something I've been thinking about a lot as well. Right? I'm not Gary Chapman. I haven't studied enough about this at all.
Yep.
But I do believe like everybody needs all 5 parts of the love languages.
Correct.
Right? Like, I don't think it's like, oh, my love language is physical touch and time and gift giving. I don't care about the other 2. I think everyone requires just a certain amount of each of them.
Correct.
Right?
But top 2 is like a favorite. Like there is like a
you just want more of that.
Correct.
I think for me, it is definitely like, physical touch and I think my receive, right? Physical touch, time, right? And words of affirmation. Because again, like these are the 3 things that did not receive as I was,
I feel like maybe all these Asian kids, just grew up in this Asian household.
Is it an Asian thing or do you think it's like a generational thing?
Oh, good question.
Yeah. I don't know enough like, I guess, Western people.
That's true.
But like the typical, I guess, like stereotype about it is like it's a very Asian thing, right?
Yeah.
A very Asian mentality. Your parents will never say "I love you," and even like your example of like doing laundry and cooking for you. My parents would do that.
Yeah.
But they will always do it in a way of like, I don't trust you to do it. Let me do it.
You know what? You're not wrong. They'll be like, yeah, we can do it better. The machine is bigger, or like, we don't want you to burn your clothes. After that, have to buy new clothes and waste money.
So is it love, or is it like they don't know how to like show that they love, and therefore they have to like add on all these things to like not seem that way, not seem too, I don't know, soft.
Good question. It could be a combination, right? Because maybe also is because that's how their parents show them love, and obviously that's also a generational thing, right? A little bit more old school, a little bit more people like at that point of time maybe they weren't so vocal about like love, and because they just have to work, they just have to get things done and get money and income for their family.
So they don't have time to think about love in that way, right?
Yeah.
And how they were brought up, I assume.
They were just providers.
Yeah, right. They just need to, and that's why I guess like they learned like love is acts of service.
Yep.
Love is gift giving because you're providing, you're doing stuff for people.
Yep.
And that's how we are learning to do it as well. But I think our generation of people now are like more open to love in different ways.
Correct.
They're more open to do like, physical touch, holding hands, more PDA. We have more time for real life actually as well, right?
Yeah.
And I think for me, it's physical touch and time, and words of affirmation. Because again, didn't receive any of this when I was younger.
Good job, Fabian. Good job.
And until now, I don't know how to receive it as well. I think that's also a thing.
I for me, I think I see you struggle with that more. So when people actually compliment you, and especially at work, I see you just being all awkward and Do you have that? Do you also struggle that with that with your partner?
I think when I got together with my partner, I think again my relationship is very very new, right?
Mm.
But I think by then I was a lot more okay with it already. I
Okay.
understand like I'm not great at receiving it, and I think that's something I've been trying to work on.
Mm.
Trying to like it's not accepting criticism, it's like accepting compliments,
Yep.
right? So it's something that I never understood for the longest time.
Your brain just couldn't compute.
Yeah, if people like say nice things about me, I just like it just feels
Yeah.
but again, it's something that I've worked on and just trying to like accept it, right?
Mm.
It's like, yeah, like these people, and these people are saying good things about me because they actually truly believe it, right?
Mm.
And it's high time for me to also believe it in a
Mm.
way, right? But yeah.
How have you worked on it? And I think this could relate, right? Because it's good to know what are your love languages and what are your like partner's love languages. So that is like the first step to building a healthy relationship
Mm,
and building that. So one of the things that Gary Chapman said, right? Like these love languages is tokens, right? So
mm,
you want to fill your love tank, your emotional relationship tank with this token of love, right? That's how you put in. It's like, and he relates it to like how you put petrol into your car to
yeah.
fuel your car, right? So you want to fuel your relationship to go to the even further by doing this different love languages to each other. um so knowing love language is first step. Second step is actually to practice it. So now that you need words of affirmation, but then you are still awkward about it, you just
Mm.
don't know how to deal with it. How did you start
Oh,
to accept it and be okay with it and be graceful with it?
oh. Okay. So I think for me, it's honestly it's just practice.
Mm.
Like there's no like special formula to it, right?
Okay.
I think with most things as well, it's practice. It's just like you receive it once. It's like you question as well. It's like, why do you feel awkward about it? Do you think it's not true? Like,
Mm.
oh no, like you did good things. It's objectively good. It's not the best in the world, sure, but it's good enough,
Mm.
and people appreciate it, lah, right?
Mm.
So it's just practice of like trying to accept it. So in the
Mm.
beginning, it's gonna be awkward. It's gonna be awkward. It's gonna be awkward. It's gonna be slightly less awkward, and then eventually you're okay with it,
Mm.
right? Actually, even now, like even though I say so much about this, like I still am not the most like comfortable receiving compliments,
Yeah.
right? Um, and there's that immediate defensive nature when someone
No
compliments you. It's like,
lah.
no lah, or like, oh okay, cool, thanks.
That awkward like
Yeah, it's like,
shuffle of like,
yeah.
yeah.
um yeah, but like it's almost like I'm like not genuinely saying thanks as
Mm.
well. So that's like, for example, that is something I want to practice. Like if
Mm.
someone gives me a compliment, I like genuinely want to receive it, and I'm showing that I appreciate their compliment as well.
Yeah.
I think one thing that struck me quite hard is, and I forgot who told me this, or like again Instagram or Reel or the TikTok thing, but it's like if you don't accept this gift from another person, it's also kind of rude. Like
Yeah.
people complimented you, people say you're doing a good job, and they're pouring an emotion towards you, right? And you
Yeah.
don't accept that, it's
Yeah.
kind of rude.
Yeah.
So it's also like I don't want to be rude.
Yeah.
And then again, something I want to practice as well, right?
Yeah. That is very profound actually. I have never thought about it that way.
Mm.
But I definitely agree. Because when someone genuinely compliments you, they have taken the time to have that interaction with you, and the interaction is like genuine and meaningful. And for you to deny
Yeah.
that means you are telling them they are liars, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's a good perspective to take
Yeah.
as well.
Another thought that just came in my mind was that it's not too far off to assume that maybe they are not the best people to compliment. They are not always like practicing complimenting people as
Right.
well, right? So it's
Yeah.
not natural to them.
Yeah.
Because our parents' generations didn't practice that as well. They're not too far from us, and they probably did learn
Yeah.
in a similar way.
Correct.
So again, maybe it's something they're practicing,
Yeah.
and then for you to again deny that,
Correct.
to throw away their gift, it's kind of sad. It's kind of rude.
True. They are giving words of affirmation
Yeah.
and we're denying. Yeah. That's a really, really good take.
Mm.
So
Yeah, but I guess why do you think people don't talk about love languages enough? I guess like I don't know if it's like a guy thing or a guy's perspective thing, right?
Mm,
But like we don't hear it as much coming from men,
mm.
right?
I think for me, my personal observation, why it's not talked about as much, is just because this th- this topic and actually being aware of things
Mm.
is not it's pretty new,
Mm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I think us, we are very very privileged to have access to this kind of information,
Yep.
to have the ability to reflect and be self-aware, and to wanting to become a better version of ourselves. I think our generation and generation after us, we are very very privileged and very very lucky to be able to say like, hey, I want to take care of myself. I want to have mental health well-being. I want to have a
Mm.
balanced life. I want to have a meaningful relationship.
Yeah.
um and personally, I think what I see is the previous generation or even men rarely talk about this is because of um just because the needs in life, right? Like they just need to become a provider,
Mm.
and providing for someone means I'm putting aside my own wants and desire, my own whims and my laziness and whatever, to then work hard towards something to provide for you.
Mm.
I'm already losing myself. So losing myself for you is already a act of love. But that's how they do it and that's how they know it. But
Yeah.
they never had the vocabulary to
To
talk
like
about it.
figure it out and
Yeah,
talk about it,
to
right?
talk
Yeah.
about it. So I think that's my personal take to it.
Yeah. I think it's a very interesting thing because yeah, so like you think like men kind of like essentially focus so hard on trying to provide, trying to um yeah, be providers, earn money,
Yeah.
hunt food, essentially.
Yeah. Hand food last time.
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
find money
Find money to
to
get
get
food,
food.
to buy food, and those kind of things. Like
Yeah.
again, resource gathering,
Yeah.
essentially, right? Hunting. But then like they lose themselves for it, and I think nowadays like it's not everybody like wants that, right?
Yeah.
So like I hear this so many times where like men would do like big gestures. Like recently, like yeah, like oh, say when the girlfriend says they miss them, they would immediately fly to another country just to go and
Yeah.
find them, and so it's like a
Yeah.
big gesture kind of thing.
But
But
again, that comes with privilege, right?
yeah,
Like last time, not everyone, like only the people who are very wealthy are able to
yeah,
do that. And also in terms of like the differences in the previous era versus this era where a lot of women are more capable. So then your gestures are even higher, right? Because like I'm working and my partner is working, so
mm-hmm.
I can afford things already. So for him to get me stuff, he needs to buy stuff that I don't already have, for
Yeah,
example. But last time, like women can work,
mm,
right? Women were the homemakers.
yeah,
So then the husband are providers. So then the gesture of love is to bring home money, to bring home
yeah,
whatever that it takes to for the wife and the family to thrive. And
mm,
then the wife as homemakers, their love languages naturally is just the acts of services, right? Just making a home for the husband to come back to, and for the children to grow up.
mm.
Yeah, so I think just circumstances are
Yeah.
different,
I mean,
hence
different
why.
people are
Yeah.
different as well, right? Like
Yeah.
again, like we talked about what our give and receive in terms of love languages are, but like do you talk to your partner about what his love languages is, and
Mm.
like how do you kind of navigate that a little bit?
Yeah, I think I'm also like every other girl, right? I'd be like, "What's your love language?" When we first started, seeing each other, or when we first started
Yeah.
getting serious, and I think he said that he actually don't really know,
Mm.
and we talked about it, and we did the Gary Chapman online quiz. So I think for you guys, if you guys want to know what are your love languages, you guys can get the book by Gary Chapman. And I think in his website he has also resources for a quiz. So when we talk about it, he I think he also had to reflect on himself. Naturally, his love language is also like acts of services because he was the provider for his family as well, right? He helped to help his family and like the male responsibility. Um, but I think what he truly enjoys or what he truly feels love is quality time. Sorry, I my brain froze a little bit. So quality time, because I think in an era in a space and time where we are so busy with different things, we are so busy and caught up with all of our different responsibilities and different things that we need to do in life. Spending time, quality time together, is more difficult than usual.
No, 100%. Yeah.
So actually being purposeful of like he enjoys like cooking together. So we do love to cook together, and we try to try new recipes together. So we're like, oh, this looks really good. It looks very simple. Let's do it. And the other day we actually tried making like homemade pizza. And oh, so talking about quality time as well, right? We realized that we want to be better, or we want to grow in our career. So right now we're actually very busy with our career. Like, as you know, I'm doing this podcast with you.
Yep.
So this takes away like at least half of my weekend already. I'm doing my master's in counseling. That takes a whole lot of time.
I appreciate you and I thank you for this.
Thank you very much. I also appreciate you, and I apologize if I ever FFK you, and I always delay our recordings. And then he is also wanting to pursue his career, and he also needs to spend time with his mom, and he loves to game. So like yourself, right? He loves gaming. So that is his go-to decompression way to decompress, right?
Yeah.
So then what we have tried to do and wanting to do more is every 2 to 3 weeks we take time to go for specific dates. Because it's so much easy to consider like, oh, after gym we go makan, that can be considered a date, but that's not like purposeful.
It's not intentional.
Correct. It's not intentional. So what we have done, and this was a New Year's resolution for the both of us, where we want to spend quality time together, is every 2 weeks we will go for specific dates. So we try to take turns on planning it. Obviously, we agreed on we don't want only one person to feel responsible for it. So yes, we will come up with some ideas, but we come together and agree upon something that we want to do.
No, I think that's I think a very mature, very adult thing. I think that's something that people don't think about as much.
Yeah.
I think nowadays people still have the notion that like, oh, it has to be spontaneous, it has to be
cutesy.
very cutesy.
Yeah.
And so like planning for it is not as sexy.
I definitely agree.
Like, or structuring. But like I think it's, and I don't think, but I think sorry.
I
believe that you have to structure it. You have to kind of plan ahead for it, right? I think that's something I spoke to my partner about this as well, right? That like maybe we should structure like, oh, like at least once a month kind of thing. We do like a class. So like if it's like pottery lah, it's this and that. It's a bit pricey. Maybe we can choose other stuff, but like intentional dates.
Yeah.
Where we go like set aside time to like do things.
Correct.
And not just let career or life or family sometimes even like take all the front seat from it.
Yeah, I agree. It's because like Hisham and I, our houses are very near to each other. Our office are opposite each other, right? So we spend a lot of time together already,
Yeah.
but that togetherness is filled with the daily
Noise.
activities, the noise of your daily life and things that is needed to be done, but it's not intentional, it's not purposeful. You don't take time to actually hear each other out or have conversations
Yeah.
that are outside of like how's work today, or like, oh, what do you eat today, like,
I mean,
like the
it's
mundane stuff.
It's the quality in quality time.
Exactly.
It's not just time.
Exactly just that. Yeah.
And I think I think for me as well, as a person who very much I guess treasures time in that way, quality time. Like for me, my notion about time is that one resource where you can never get back.
Agreed.
So at least for me, if I'm giving you my time, especially if I'm just like putting all my brain power, and as a person who is
ADHD.
I have ADHD. Has been So like it's not always easy for me to like fully focus on something. And when I am able to do that, I'm very, very grateful to be able to do that as well. Like I do treasure those moments to be able to spend those moments with my partner as well, right? And segueing into slightly different one, but like I've also realized that physical touch and time are both very quote unquote dangerous love languages.
What does that mean?
Because physical touch and time are the only two love languages that both sides need to have if in order for it to work. So for example, if I'm spending time with you, you are also spending time with me.
Correct.
So if my love language is time and your love language is not time, like how does that work?
Right. Yeah.
So if your love language is physical touch and time, and physical touch is the same thing, right? If I'm being physical touchy, I guess, with you, you are also essentially being physical touchy with me.
Yeah, like there needs to be a reciprocal
It's
action.
100% reciprocal.
Yeah.
Like if you look at words of affirmation, if you look at gifts, if you look at acts of service, it's possible to be one way.
Correct, because you're just giving it to that person
or receiving it from that person.
Yeah.
But with physical touch and with time, it has to be both ways. So it gets very dangerous for people who like only physical touch on one side of the relationship and it's not physical on the other side as well. Right? So there's no reciprocity, if you will.
Yeah. So then how do we then, so let's say for example, for yourself, like is your partner having the same love
I think
languages?
I'm lucky enough that so my partner and so for me, this is something I brought up in a relationship. So you say like every other girl like love language, what's your love languages? Like, oh my god. So I was
you were the cutesy one.
I was the cutesy one. Yeah. She's cutesy at times as well. I'll give her credit.
Yeah. Okay.
But I brought up love languages and she loved talking about it also. Right?
Nice.
So tips to men.
You broach the subject.
Let me tell you, this shit works.
So tips, guys, if you are wanting to go into a relationship or you're starting a serious relationship, be the first person to talk about love languages first.
Use this information. With power comes great responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility. So I always tell people this when I tell them about this. Talk about love languages. Like, men, don't be afraid to be cringy.
But I think it's a really good way to broach like the topic or a more meaningful conversation, right? Because a lot of times as you grow into the relationship, you do want to align more in terms of
100%.
life, in terms of like expectations and whatnot. And sometimes you just don't know how to say it. You don't know how to say like, hey, I want more hugs.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. Like it's a great way for you to also just say what you want.
Correct. Because like initially when I started relationship, I really like feel quite cringy / malu, like shy to ask for hugs because like why am I so clingy or why am I so desperate? And some people might have that fear or and especially when you are new into a relationship, right? You don't want to seem too desperate. You don't want to seem like you're too much like you are the one who's more invested. But okay, so to that is a different whole
That's
story.
a whole different
There's a whole different story where you should, and you should not think about it that way. You should talk about your expectations, but a way to broach that topic or to talk about expectations, you can start with this love languages.
No, 100%. Like I think for me, like I was the one who brought up the topic of love languages, right? And I was like, yeah, like hey, what like do you know like love languages and stuff like that? She's like, oh my god, I love talking about love languages. Like, oh wow, same.
So cute.
And I was like, yeah, I think I think, and I brought up the topic about how love languages are a give and a receive.
Yep.
Right. She completely agreed with that, and then we talked about that. So like again, my love languages to give, a lot of times are acts of service, are gift giving, and it's not like big gifts or anything like that. It's like every time I go on like a holiday or like go on a trip, I love buying souvenirs for people, like tiny small things.
Yeah.
That reminded me of them.
Yeah.
Right. Like so, this could be like bookmarks, it could be little keychains. I'd be like, hey, I think do you like this? It's kind of cute.
Yeah.
And then like acts of service where I just like do stuff for people. I tend to overexert myself and push a lot very too hard sometimes, and I talk to my partner about this. But I love doing that. I do it completely out of love, right?
Yeah.
My receive again was time, physical touch, and words of affirmation.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful. I'm very, very lucky that her give a lot of time is words of affirmation also.
Nice.
It is also like physical touch. It is also time.
Yeah.
Right? Her receive isn't really much like gift giving and things like that. I
Okay.
think it's still on the side of words of affirmation and time and physical
Okay.
touch as well. So again, physical touch, time, give and receive, right?
Yeah.
So it's again something that we've talked about,
Yeah.
and something that I am actively trying to work on giving more words of affirmation as well to her. And again, it's something I want to practice as well because I love her, right?
Yeah. Aw.
So I think in terms in part of like words of affirmation as well. I remember, and this was like months ago.
Yeah.
Before
like you guys were together, right? Or when you guys were dating.
Yeah, I believe so. It's like not
Yeah.
officially together yet.
Yeah.
Right. We were starting this podcast, I remember, and I was saying, I didn't get to prepare for it too much.
Yeah.
Because busy with whatever. And I was I was nervous, lah, right?
Yeah.
And I think she sent me a text. And I don't know if we talked about this before, but I love talking about this as well. Like all she did say was like all the best, and for some reason like that gave me so much more confidence, so much more calmness and peace to be able to like work on this a little bit better as well.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, I get it like framed up and like put it somewhere. But like it's small stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
It's not like it's just like small words of affirmations, and
Yeah.
that's what like matters to me.
Yeah.
And I try to I know how that feels, and then that's what I try to give to her
back.
as well, right? Give
Yeah.
back.
But that's lovely, right? Like that, and I think that is exactly why we should know and be aware of our love languages and our partner's love languages, because when you do something that is very genuine but purposeful, and it's best received by the other party, that helps the other party, that supports the other party so much more, and like until now you felt the power of
Oh, yeah.
what she did, and you want to commemorate it, and that was so meaningful to you.
And I think the thing about love languages is that like some people actually think that if I keep doing this, if I keep giving words of affirmation, like the power of it like dwindles maybe. But it's not. It doesn't. Like it doesn't get less nice.
Well, I have some contradiction. I want to challenge that a little bit. I think it might dwindle, or people might feel less of the effect if it's not genuine.
I was gonna say I think I know exactly know where you're going with it.
Yeah.
And that's why like you have to make it intentional.
Correct.
You have to like communicate that it is
Correct.
intentional. You're not saying it for the sake of saying it.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're saying it because you truly believe these kind of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like I think genuinity, I guess genuinity.
I think so.
I don't know words.
Yeah.
Intentionalness.
Yeah.
Intentionality.
Yep.
Are these words? I don't know.
Yes.
But like these are things that people can tell.
I
It's
agree.
very hard to fake. right? Yeah, it's very hard to fake. You kind of know. For some reason, I think like humans have evolved in a way to kind of know when there's bullshit in the air.
I think so, and I think it really comes through when there is thoughtfulness to it.
Yeah.
So even like for example, gift giving, right? So if you give a person a thoughtful present, you must have it must be something related to the person and what the person like, or based on what the person's like favorite color, or like maybe the person is going through the current phase in life, and you give something according to that whatever that's going through, right? But if you randomly buy just a something, for example, like you just buy a chocolate, but you don't even buy the chocolate that the
she
person
wants.
likes.
Yeah.
Then you're not even thinking about it.
You
You're
gotta
not
do the
making an effort,
research.
right? Yeah, you need to do a research. Or like, oh, I think you like dark chocolate, right? This is a new brand that I found out. So a little bit more intentionality and thoughtfulness that I think that makes it meaningful, and it doesn't, and the effect of the love, the token of love is there. But when it's not, I think that
And I
that,
think
that detracts it.
it shows when if you're actually paying attention in your day-to-day lives, right? Like it's one thing to like, okay, it's completely fine for you to ask like, oh, what do you want in your birthday and stuff like that. But I think throughout your relationship, you will kind of also get hints of like, oh, this is something I really like, this is something I don't like, this is like a general theme of things that I really like as well. And then you're like, okay, I can kind of like pick and build something out of it. Right?
Yeah. Well, I agree. Plus, I want to add one more thing to it, which is also communication.
Oh, 100%.
Because love languages can be unspoken as well, right? So there's a lot of like, there's a lot of where you need to decipher. And sometimes people just can't decipher things because what we want, what we desire, I don't know why. Maybe it's a defense mechanism. We try to cover it up, right? We don't want to look too clingy. We don't want to
too needy.
And we don't say what we actually mean or what we actually want. And our partner or our friends or the people that are close to us, we need to decipher the meaning. But sometimes, obviously, we are not like mind readers, right? We decipher it wrongly, and then the other person gets unhappy about it.
No, just talk about it.
So that's why I think, yes, as a partner, as a thoughtful partner, we should take note of what our partners like, what do they prefer, what did they say previously. But I think there should be also a component of communication and ownership, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, so if you really want that a purse, you can't just say like, oh yeah, it'd be nice to have a new purse. Like if you really want that purse from this brand, this color, and all of that, and you expect your partner to get you for your birthday or whatever, then it's okay to tell your partner, because then it reduces the noise. It reduces the mind reading, and really it reduces the miscommunication and misexpectation of things. So I think love language. So summarizing my point is communicate. Yeah.
Ooh. But an interesting point about that, right? I've heard this like quite a few times. Like, but communicating it makes it less sexy, essentially, right?
Yeah.
Like if I tell him what I want, like,
yeah, or people nowadays, like the hashtag is like, if he would, if he
wanted to, he would.
Yeah.
If he wanted to, he would, right?
Yeah, I think there is some truth to that, but more so than not, I think rather than waiting and playing these mind games, and I learned this quite heavily in my relationship right now, is to communicate. because the other party, like our partner, sometimes really just can't decipher things, because at the end of the day, only we truly know what we desire and what we expect.
I think what's more important than one communicating that is asking.
Yeah.
So yes, it feels awkward to communicate it out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But if the partner asks you, then you have every right to say what you want. Right? So just ask. Like, don't be afraid to ask about like what they want.
Right. So instead of you're telling, what you're saying is, okay, communication, one of the things that you can do as well is to broach the subject. Hey, sweetheart, like, I want to get you something because I appreciate you and it's for Valentine's Day. What would you love most?
Yeah. And don't be the partner that still beats around the bush after you've been asked that question. It's like, I don't know.
Anything lah. No, if your partner actually asks you that, then be genuine in that as well, right? Because right now that your partner is trying to broach that subject with you, your partner is trying to communicate with you.
That is thoughtfulness right there.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're looking for thoughtfulness, if he wanted to, he would. He is wooding.
He is actually doing it already. Yeah.
Don't shut him down, right? Or shut her down.
No, that's right? Very, very true. That's very true. So that is also very intentional, right? You are proactively asking because you want to get it right.
Yeah.
You want to do something that he or she genuinely love.
But sometimes I'm going both sides now, right? But sometimes you really don't know what you want.
And then you can say, I really don't know what I want. Can you give me options?
Ooh, interesting. Okay, that's fair.
I do that with my partner when we talk about food, because obviously, girls, we have a problem. Well, I have a problem in choosing food because I want everything. I crave for different stuff, right? And I think we come to a my partner and I came to a strategy. So when I cannot determine like what food I want to eat, I said, up to you lah. And then he choose, and then I get upset because I don't want, right? He really loves chilies, but then I'm bored of chilies already. So he's like, you asked me to choose, I choose chilies you don't want. So now I said, I would tell him, I don't want this, but so can you give me 2 other choices? Then I choose from the 2 choices.
I feel like we need to create like a flow chart. Like
exactly.
Cravings, any, yes, go here.
SOP.
Is it like, do you like choice of carbs, rice, noodles, bread?
Correct.
And then you
sometimes
go
I ask that as well. Like, so when he asked me to choose food, okay, I'll be like, where to start? I will ask, do you want like Asian food or do you want Western food or like fast food? Okay, fast food, then I know it's between this or this. So then it filters down to that. So if you guys are indecisive, maybe you can ask for options and just narrow it to 2, right? 2 options. And from there, you can take your time to actually decide on things and help make your partner's life easier in that sense, because you are doing it for the relationship, right? You're doing it because
100%.
you love your partner as well, and it's a form of reciprocity to your partner's gesture. Don't make it hard for each other.
Yeah. Ooh, sorry. A lot of time. I think we are a bit over time already, but I think something I forgot to mention as well. Like one of I think my partner's love languages to receive was acts of service. But I think I forgot to mention that just now.
Yeah.
But I think for me, because in my relationship, I'm always afraid of doing too much also.
What does that mean?
Doing too much is like, I'm doing too much and I feel, and I'm, I guess, how to say, too annoying. I'm scared I'm doing too much. It comes off as too suffocating in a way for some people.
Oh, okay.
Because I do a lot.
I feel like I want to talk more about this in next episode.
This is a whole
what
thing, right?
trauma?
Oh no, 100%. This is like what they call like anxious attachment style kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
That's like a whole nother episode.
Okay.
Like stay tuned, right? Like definitely something we should talk about.
Okay.
But it took a while for me and for her to like go back and forth a bit. Like no, actually like she loves that shit, right? She
Okay.
loves it when I put like effort into things and
Okay.
it's not too much.
For example, like what kind of acts of service that she really appreciated and you felt like you kind of doubted yourself when
Sometimes
doing it
it's
previously.
just sometimes it's things that I don't think it's too much at
Okay.
all, but like she thinks it was like the whole world even.
For example.
So it's like sometimes it's just like fully planning for a date, like planning like a whole day thing or whatever.
Yeah.
But I love that shit, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, stuff like that. I think there's a lot of things, but like maybe let's not air out all my secrets, if you will.
Wink wink.
Wink, wink. But no, like yeah, it's just something that we go back and forth a lot. But like validate, even for her, it's like validating. Like you are allowed to like say what you want.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, she comes off as like, oh, like I don't know how to like, I don't know how to say that I want this or want that. It's like, no, you 100%, you have all the right to say
Yeah.
what you want, right?
Yeah.
And just like validating and giving her that confidence to be like, just say what you want.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah. I think I resonate with your partner in the sense that we maybe and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, right? I know that she's also very independent, right? She's living on her own and like drive her own and all of that. So I think being independent as a female, being independent for a very long time, you learn how to do things by yourself.
Yeah.
And you learn that you don't have to depend on other people. Or sometimes it's very difficult to depend on other people. So that's why you have learned to become independent, right? So it's a way of the world has taught you to become independent. So for us to ask of something from another person, it's scary.
It's scary.
It's
100%.
hard. Like I personally struggle with it because I don't have the vocabulary. I have been very independent since I was a kid, and this could be another whole topic together. Right? How you behave
We have so much to talk about.
in real life, in your adult life, and how your childhood shapes it. So in the beginning of the relationship where I had expectations of my partner to help me in certain things because that's how I perceive love, right? Like that's how that's how I perceive love because my dad is an acts of service guy. How extreme to an extreme sense, my dad can go to the grocery store like 5 times a day because my mom would be like, hey, I need this, and then my dad go get groceries and then come back, and then after an hour be like, hey, terlupa lah, forgot about this one. He will go out again and whatnot, right? So like doing things like that, going out of the way. So in the beginning of the relationship with my partner, I naturally do things for my partner, right? Like help to clean the house or help to pack things and all of that. And I was hoping like unconsciously seeking that out or seeking that as a proof of how he loved me because that's how my father showed me love, right? And when he lacked in doing that, and I felt disappointed. I felt like doubt. Like is he like really loving me? Like why he didn't think of that? Like if he wanted to, he would, right? Like I had that mindset. But again, it was unconscious expectations I had, and when we had a few fights because of it. And then later on, he was he said like, why don't you just ask me? And then in my head, I'm like, if you
wanted to, you would.
Yeah. But after a while, I truly understand and truly believe that he just doesn't know it because it's all in my head. Everything happens in my head, and I play like scenario step by step of like how he doesn't love me because he doesn't do this, blah 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 blah, all of that. And I had to learn and I had to build up that vocabulary and that confidence to be able to say like, hey, in these moments like A B C D E, I want you to help me, or I want you to do E F G H I because that's how I will feel loved and appreciated. I would feel that you are thoughtful and mindful of like how I feel. The easiest thing, right? So in the morning, I I tend to get ready longer, obviously. Right?
Mm.
So if he is late, I will make sure that I I make the bed. I make sure that his bag is ready. I make sure that the cat is okay. I like so whenever he gets ready, immediately we can go out. But if I'm the one who is later and he gets ready first, he will just sit down there and scroll his phone.
Mm.
In his mind, he's like, take your time, like because I'm the one who has to be in the office at a certain time. He doesn't like you guys don't have a start
Strict, yeah.
a strict start time, right? So in his mind, he's like, I'll scroll phone, I'll wait for you, and you can take your time. But in my head, like he doesn't care about me. Like he just like thinks about himself and just scroll the phone. But truly, he just said like, I don't want to rush you. Hence why you can take your time.
Yeah.
We will go when you are ready. But I was expecting for him to do the same as I would for him, which is to pack my bag, put my laptop in my bag, go fill up water bottle and all of that. And we had multiple fights because of it. And one day
Mm.
he just sat me down and be like, hey, why do you get angry at this? And I had to learn how to tell him that when you scroll your phone, it makes me feel unloved because I feel that you are not mindful and thoughtful about what I'm going through, and I'm already stressed up. And he's like, no, I'm scrolling my phone because I want you to take your time. I am not rushing you. And we had to come to an alignment of like, okay, you need to tell me that you are not rushing me. You also need to help pack my bag, or at least ask me, do you need help to pack my bag? Because then I would feel that you love me. And now it's a practice.
Oh, that's good.
But what I'm trying to say that a lot of people sometimes just don't have the vocabulary, don't have the confidence to do that, and hence is a practice of that communication.
Yeah, and I think that practice of even just like sitting you down and talk about it, right?
Yeah.
I think that's like a big thing that he did as well. Like if he didn't do that, I wonder if that conversation would have ever happened, right?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have
You
broached
never
it.
have brought it up,
I wouldn't
right?
have broached it. And honestly, like when we had that conversation, I feel so bad after, because I'm not the kind of person who talks about it.
Mm.
I feel so shitty after that because I felt guilty. Like,
Oh, yeah.
why for me to demand of that act, of that action, right? But then I just learned that it's just a healthy way of
No,
communicating.
100%. I think, and I had a very similar situation with my girlfriend with all this as well, right? And how I talked about it was also that it's that I want to know.
Mm.
Like if you don't, don't feel bad about talking about what
Yeah.
you want, because I want to know.
Yeah,
Like tell me how I can love you better.
Yeah.
Essentially, right?
yeah, Yeah.
And again, it's very uncomfortable for her to talk about these kind of things.
agreed.
But again, it's like a constant like validation thing. It's like I want to know.
Yeah.
Like I want to know how I can be a better boyfriend, be a better
Mm.
partner,
Mm.
like care for you a little bit better, and all these kind of things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think like communication has to be forced in a way.
Yeah.
Like not like a little bit. It's going to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's going to be uncomfortable, but it's like good discomfort, I feel.
Yeah, and I think maybe why we feel uncomfortable as well, because I come from a family of like less spoken words and like deciphering meaning. So I think that's where like practicing and being proactive about it and being more reflective about it comes into play. Yeah. So that's another whole big topic that we can talk
Yes,
about.
okay, there's so much we can talk about.
I was just
Like in my head, I was like writing down stuff that we
Yeah.
can still talk about. There's so many things we can talk
sorry
about.
guys,
so,
because we have not planned for all the other episodes yet. We are going to go with like our gut feel / like what's happening in real time in our real
Yeah.
life. So as we talk about this, we are taking notes of the topics content. But if any one of you are interested to know a little bit more about certain things, or you want us to talk a little bit more and for us to do a little bit more research on certain things, please let us know so that we can
build this a little bit better.
correct. Yeah.
Maybe a little like a take home thing that we say we will do as well, like communicate with your partners.
Oh, I think before that, I want to another one is go figure out what are your love
Ooh, yeah.
languages, like your top two, right? Typically there are 5, and then you have 2 favorite ones or 2 top 2 that you prefer. So you can and reflect, is it the same of how you show love and how you would like to receive love? And if you're in a relationship, communicate more.
Yeah, communicate.
Yeah.
Like, don't be afraid to talk about stuff that you want.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to ask, like, how can you essentially love your partner a little bit better.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why you're in a relationship, right? You want to love each other more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my take on relationships, again, so many things we can talk about when it comes to this topic, right? But I guess a snippet of that notion, right? My take on relationships, that it's never supposed to be, your partner shouldn't be your happiness. They
Exactly.
should add to your happiness.
Exactly.
Right? It's not a need. Your partner shouldn't need you.
Agree.
They should want you.
Tell the whole world.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's my take on it. Some people disagree, apparently. But to each their own, I guess. Yeah.
So we can talk about that in the next episode.
Right. Till then.
Thank you very much, guys.
Bye.